All right. Here we are, everyone. Welcome back to another creative checkup. So good to have you here on a fabulous Friday. My name is Alan C. Paul. If you're new to this platform, this is where we help you to solve a specific creative issue in just 1 hour. We try to pick one thing and we pick it apart. We talk about it in terms of our faith, in terms of thriving as faith focused creatives. And that's what we do as our podcast as well. And if you are connected with us over the long haul, you know that our Creative Checkup is also our newsletter where we share on Wednesdays through our email list and send you a newsletter. So we have all these different components to help you thrive as a faith-focused creative entrepreneur, musician, or artist. And that's what we do. We help you to become the best creative you can be from the inside out. Thank you so much for joining us. We got some friends over here on Facebook already and on Instagram. So good to see you, Pamela, over here on Instagram. Robert Mo Sings, Brendan. I think it's our trumpet chick over here. IMP Talk. I think that's the way you say it. So everybody that's joining us on Instagram, again, thanks as well for joining us. And today we're going to be talking about what to do when your gigs are not making you enough money. When your gigs aren't making you enough money. And that is a harsh reality for many of us as musicians. And if your gigs are not music, maybe your gigs are speaking gigs, maybe your gigs are clients, doing actual work for them. That's kind of like your gig. So remember, God and gigs is not just music gigs. It's really anything in the creative space, performing arts, visual arts, anything in that content creation space, any gig that involves creativity. That's kind of where we go. We started this with musicians, but now it kind of reflects everybody. By the way, let me know if you can hear me okay. I always like to get a few comments. If you can hear me, send me a thumbs up or a smiley face, okay? Happy Friday, Pamela. I'm good to see you. I'm assuming that means our technical stuff is working because no one has said that I am moving my lips and nothing's coming out. So that means we're good. Okay. So, first of all, let's get into a little bit of the church announcements as people are coming in and let you know that we are very excited, very, very, very excited about our God and Gigs 360 program. That's our membership. Now, you are watching this on free platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, but we actually own our own membership. We own our own real estate at God and Gigs. It's called God and Gigs 360. And I'm really excited because I want to quickly introduce some new members. I'm so excited about this. This is really cool because it's not every week that we get to introduce new people. But last couple of weeks ago, we introduced Sandra. Sandra is new to God and Gigs 360 Gold. She's joining as an established creative expert. And this week, you might look down. If you've been watching us for a few weeks, you might look and see this fifth name here. I don't know if you can see my screen. Probably not. You can see my screen, but you can't see my mouse. Victory Lyric. Victory Lyric is our newest member. Victory is an amazing podcaster, creative, and a chef. She has an amazing story. We're going to tell. Actually, she's going to be on the very next podcast. But Victory Lyric is joining God and Gigs 360 Gold as an established creative expert. Our established creative experts are the people who have been on the podcast, usually, maybe not even on the podcast, but they have established a knowledge, and it's kind of like a PhD of creativity. Like they don't necessarily need to go through all of my steps and other things because they've proven it. They've already been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. So they join more as experts that our group, our God and Gigs 360 Gold group, can lean on, ask questions of, and it's essentially like mini coaches inside of our membership. So they get to have like masterminds with these people. Whereas, honestly, it would be lots of money to hire them to coach. They're just part of the group now. So you can ask questions and they can actually answer them just by being part of the membership. So that's 360 Gold. The other side is 360 Guests. Those are just people who have bought and they bought a product and they're in our membership, but they're not necessarily actively in a coaching membership. They're just part of our forums. You can join, by the way, those forums for free at godandgigs.com/360 guest. 360 as the number. Okay. So I'll put that in the links so that you can see that in case you'd like to join us over there. But I wanted to say welcome to Victory. Let me find that really quick. Where's our banner? I got to move all this stuff out of the way. And then we'll get right into it. Where is it? There it is. God and Gigs 360 guest. That is a free way to join our forums. You don't get access to the coaching, but you do get access to our forums. You get to hang out. You get to see all these different people and talk about what's happening in your creative life, how you're handling your faith, how you're handling these situations where you might feel compromised in your faith. If you're a Christian and you're working in a certain secular field and you're kind of like, okay, I don't know what to say here. I don't know, should I take this gig? Should I not take this gig? Should I say no to this song? Should I say yes to this song? How do I market myself? How do I keep myself from feeling like I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time? All of those things are things that we deal with in God and Gigs 360 Gold. And you can ask the questions in God and Gigs 360 Guest. Okay, so that's how we handle it. Would love to see you guys join us, especially for free as a guest of the program. That would be awesome. And I would love to meet you there. All right. So let's get right back into what we were about to discuss as we were talking about gigging and not being able to make the money that you want to make. So, question to all of you, please put a 1 in the chat. A 1 in the chat if you have no problems making money from gigs. You have zero issue. You have plenty of gigs, plenty of income. This is not a situation for you. Put a 2 in the chat if the answer is I could use more funds. Gigs are not making enough money for me. I'm finding myself with too much month, not enough money at the end of the month. So I'd love to see in the comments, which one is it? Is it 1, you've got plenty of funds, the gigs are coming in easy, you're making plenty of money, and 2 would be no. I see a 2 here from Leak of Faith Consulting. That's Pamela. I see a 2 here from Robert Moe, also on Instagram. So, okay. So far we're 2 for 2 on the 2s. And anybody else because I'm a 2, I'm going to be honest with you. I am very transparent on these calls. These calls are not like the podcast where I have a chance to edit it. Whatever I say is true and just comes out. So no filters here. Got definitely issues when it comes to gigs and finances. I was just talking to my good, amazing friend, Mustafa on Sax, Multi Mustafa Jr. Those of us in our South Florida area know that, he's one of my best friends. And also we're definitely praying for him because he had a really tough week with tragedy in his family this last week. So just got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And we were talking about the fact that we are still making the same amounts for gigs and performances and things like that as maybe 10 years ago. Do y'all remember prices 10 years ago? Let's just do a little economic work right now. Let's talk about gas 10 years ago. What was it? Maybe $2.70, $2.40. I don't know. Anybody remember what gas was 10 years ago? Anybody remember what a gallon of milk was 10 years ago? Happy Meal 10 years ago? And now look at it now. And you tell me if that $100 gig we're doing is worth the same amount as $100 gigs 10 years ago. Any amount, you name it. There's just no way you can say that the same amount you're making on a gig, on a performance with a client, and if you're charging the same as 10 years ago in 2000, let me do the math, can't do it, 2014. If you're charging to the same thing you're charging in 2014, like there is no way you're making it on that same salary, on that same income. Why? Because inflation has been killing all of us. And again, this is not political and economical conversation. This is a reality conversation. Pamela says inflation has infected all of us. Yes, exactly. So the question is, what do we do when your gigs and your current income is not enough? And we're going to assume for all of us that are watching, and by the way, if you're watching on replay, please type replay in the chat as well, or in the comments, I should say. So let's just be honest. If you're not investing, making more money somewhere else, and you're still relying on the same sources that you were relying on 5, 4, 3, even 2 years ago, it's not keeping up. And that's what I'm seeing in a lot of our friends in the God and Gigs community. As a matter of fact, in the Facebook group, I did see one person who, if you're watching, please share as well. that was asking for prayer just for more gigs. And that hurt my heart because part of me said, yeah, I could pray for more gigs and that you get more opportunities. But the other part is, are getting more gigs is that really the answer? Is just getting more work? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. If gigs are not, and this is a conversation, by the way, this is not a monologue, this is a dialogue. This is your no notes today. Let me take this banner down. There are no notes today because today is a conversation. And the more you talk back to me, number one, the more that we'll get more people watching because people like to see a dialogue. They don't like to see a monologue. They like to see us talking. So this is a conversation we're having here. So feel free to jump in. If you feel like, the question is, if you feel like, just what's the answer to that? If you were a number two and you said, not making enough money for gigs, is the answer more gigs? Is the answer just do more work? Is the answer get hired more, get more clients? Is that the answer? Just tell me what you think, yes or no. Is the answer then just getting more gigs? If the problem is the gigs aren't paying, and even if they are paying, what they are paying is sucked out because the cost of living has gone up. So I'm going to wait for a second. Let me check the comments over here and see what we got in the Instagram world. Here we go. Oh, good to see First Lady Status WJ. I believe that is Wanda, if I remember correctly. If I remember the correct the correct username. So if that is Wanda, good to see you, my sister. Pamela says you need a strategy. Things to ponder are, if you get more gigs, are you charging the same? Is the location closer or farther away? That's a great point. I think one thing that we should definitely talk about right off the bat, and I was going to lead into this, and you led me perfectly into it, is we're talking about income essentially. And I'm trying to lean without giving it away into why are you getting the income or focusing on the types of income that you are. If you're focusing on gigs slash client slash service work, let's just say service work, because we're all, whether you're a performing artist, a coach, anyway, you're doing a service, right? So let's just say service work. We are serving others through our work. And most of the time in this type of thing we're talking about, we're serving in person. So you're providing a service in person. You are showing up playing, you're showing up teaching, you're showing up coaching, you're showing up speaking, you're showing up at a gallery, you're showing up. You have to be there in person to do this. So this is the conversation I literally just had with Mustafa. So if you're watching, bro, I'm using your conversation and your thoughts like right now. Let's just ask ourselves, why are we picking the income sources we are? Is it because that's all we're good at? Is it because we assume that it's the only income source? Because here's what I'm realizing as I go through this creative life. Now my, 30th year as a creative. It is oftentimes our default to simply look for what we think is the easiest, most common way to make money and a common income stream and go to that. By the way, if anybody's watching in our Facebook group, let me check real quick. See if our Facebook group has been shared. I'm going to try to get to the Facebook group. Hopefully it won't make any noise. Let's see here. Wait, how do I get there? Forgive me as I try to get around. I just want to make sure it was shared there. Yes, good. It's in there. So if you're watching in the Facebook group, let me know as well. Oh, we went live as God and Gigs. Interesting. Normally I go live as Alan Paul. Okay, that's interesting. All right. So the question that I have for you, and again, where we're trying to get to is, why do we pick the things we do? Now, let me use myself as an example and tell me what you're thinking. Oh, Neil Artie, thank you for that comment as well. He also said too. I'm a pianist, so I assume that the way I should be making money is by doing piano gigs. Simple, right? But what if that's too simple, misdirected assumption. What if the best way for me to make money isn't necessarily through the skill of the piano, but what if it's through something else that's related to piano? Now, some people might say, okay, that means teaching, right? Yes, could be. Or maybe there's something else I could do with my piano skill that would still fund and make money, but it's not necessarily requiring me to show up every day at the piano at a gig. Let's use somebody else. Pamela, I would love to hear your comments on this. As a coach, because Pamela is on God and Gigs 360, she's a career coach. Is the only way that you can do your job showing up directly with a client, or are there other ways that you have decided, hey, I don't just have to do one-on-one coaching. I can do X. I can show up X, because here's what I think a lot of us, especially those of us who are creative in the performing arts, assume. We assume the only way to create a source of income is just the way that we use our talent right there and then. That specific way, play the piano, sing, write, and dance, direct, so on. Oftentimes, we don't realize that maybe the way that we can make an income is not specifically through the gig of the skill that we have. The specific application of that skill may not be the way that we make the most money. It might be something, as I'm about to show you in my example, that is simply, I don't know what the right word is, parallel to it, or it is adjacent. That's a better word, adjacent. So I think a lot of times we miss out on the adjacent income streams, the multiple income streams that are adjacent to the one that you're doing right now. And you assume that it has to be the work you're doing now in the way that you do it. And then when it doesn't work, you get super frustrated. But again, I think here in my example is in my podcasting, because as you guys know, this very podcast, God and Gigs, was formed in 2016. The book was written in 2016. 2017 was the podcast. I believe I started this particular membership. The current iteration of God and Gigs Gold was, I want to say 2020, maybe. So all of that is to say, yes, this platform was built on that. However, the major moneymaker of this platform is not God and Gigs at all. And of course, I would love for you guys to help me change that by signing up for God and Gigs Gold at godandgigs.com/gold. That would help us switch that. But right now, the main way that income comes into my particular household is through my other podcasting, which I do through my church. And the only reason I got that job to be a producer of another podcast, or two other podcasts, now three, is because I started with God and Gigs. The experience I gained from doing another show is what provided the infrastructure and my knowledge to make money in a whole nother way. So in a sense, you might say, well, God and Gigs is not like a big operation that makes a lot of money, but it is, in a sense, the main driver of my income, because without the skills that I'm building here, it would not be applicable there. So what I'm trying to show you is your skills that you're building in your specific career may not be used in the place that you think it's going to be used. It may be that you're going to find your best creative and your best income effectiveness in an adjacent area where you're not necessarily thinking you're going to show up, but that's where the money resides, right? Money resides. That's hilarious. It went back to that meme. But that's where the money resides. It's not necessarily in just doing gigs. Where else are we seeing this? By the way, if you're tracking with me, if this is making sense, please give me a yes in the comments. That'd be awesome. Let me make sure I glance over here to StreamYard because I got a little off there. There we go. And again, if you're watching in the comments, let me know. So what other areas are adjacent to your career? Piano is another perfect example for me because, gigs are still pretty much number one in piano. But I've been doing recently, I started doing some charts for some people, and I know there's other people who do charts. That's an adjacent skill that I never really explored much, but it is also not easier, but definitely keeps me in the house. It's still a service providing thing, but I could also make charts and, sell them if they are like, copyrighted and so on. I can buy the license and so on. I could find ways to figure that out. Usually it's custom, so that may not be the best example. It's just an example of something else I do that could be a income generator that is adjacent to my main career, my main skill, but not my specific skill. What are we talking about here? We're talking about building multiple sources of income. Building multiple sources of income through realizing that your specific skill does not have to be the main generator of your income. That is the number one lesson. So if this is making sense, good to see you, the downbeat. If this isn't making sense, let me know with a yes in the comments or any kind of hearts, because hearts and likes are all cool. We love those. We love those. And it also tells the algorithm that, hey, there's some people watching this and they're enjoying this, and this is making sense to them. It helps me make sure that it makes sense, and it helps the algorithms and the Instagram robots and all that other stuff also share this. So interaction is always great, but it also shows me, most importantly, that you are getting something out of this. So let me know what side adjacent things you could do. Pamela, I can't pull this up on my computer because you're on Instagram, but I would love to, because it says that you also do workshops and you're looking into contract work. So you're looking into workshops and contract work. So what I'm doing right now personally is I'm also doing the same thing where this very platform, what I'm doing right now is another example of adjacent building of a multiple stream of income. You may not think I'm selling anything right now, but I am selling something right now. You didn't know that, did you? But what I'm selling to you is not my music, and I'm not even selling my podcast. I'm not even technically selling to you. What I'm showing right now is really, if I could let you in behind the curtain, this is an audition. It's what you're watching. Did you realize you were watching an audition? Yes, you're watching an audition, but what am I auditioning for? This is an audition for speaking and sharing my craft and my speaking and my authority on other stages. So even this very live stream, you guys, even though I do this to help you, this is not necessarily to build my Instagram or my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel. None of that. It's me showing someone of influence and value saying, hey, here's the value I create week after week after week. Here's how I can show up and help you and bless your ministry, your audience, your conference. So this very live stream is me using it as an adjacent form of income to help build another site, another set of income. Manuel, great to see you from the Worshiping Musician. Great to see you here on Instagram. We got a lot of Instagram friends here. Not so many on Facebook or YouTube. So YouTube and Facebook, if you know someone that's, if you guys know someone that would be watching, but they want to watch on Facebook and YouTube, send it to them, share it with them, let them know that the creative checkup is open. Manuel, I would love to have your comment about this. We're talking about what your adjacent side gigs are to your specific primary skill. So trumpet playing. If it's trumpet playing for you, is the primary income generator trumpet playing? Or is there something to the side gig, side hustle, something else related to your gifting that is actually the thing that makes the most money? And I just mentioned, for me, podcasting is a great example of this. I would say also, yeah, in a sense, it's not as much a lucrative thing, but my event planning and my event creation also could be considered a second tier of the actual performance, because I may perform at these events that I create, but the work that's involved in making them, the sit, sing, and swing, and keep the music playing as a podcast and also as a live stream before, all of these things actually do not involve me playing the piano. That is the key point. If you are simply waiting for the gig of the thing you do to be your main source of income and it's not working, you got to start looking at these adjacent sites. And there's something else I would love to mention because it just popped into my head. Almost lost it. Wait, it's going to come back. Oh, wait, what was it? It'll come back. I promise it'll come back. All right. So the key of this though was what I was trying to get to, around, and I ended up lost my train of thought for a second. That thought will come back. Is that even as you're building your particular business in that creative thing that you do, you need to be strategic. Let's go back to what Pamela said. Let's be strategic. And remember, I'm still asking that question. Those of you who are still watching, what is the side hustle type thing that you could do that's adjacent to your business, that's adjacent to your creative gift, that's not necessarily the same as performance or not necessarily your primary thing, but it could lead to something else? Every day I say this mantra to myself. I say, today I will make decisions and take actions that lead to blank. So I might say, okay, I'm going to take actions that lead to a six-figure income. I'm not going to get six-figure income overnight. I'm just going to take some actions that will lead to it. So that might just mean not going to Starbucks. Not going to Starbucks is not the same as raising six figures, but it is adjacent and leads to it. So what actions are you taking to lead you to that next set of income that will help you not have to chase gigs? Oh, now I remember. It couldn't come back to me. Now it did. Thank you for joining us. Also, AC Dark. I always have trouble saying these, but Instagram is on the call today. Thank you guys for joining us. So I was going to mention the tours that bands are doing lately. You guys have seen a lot of these bands go on tour for the summer. What do you think their highest generating part of the tour is? Is it ticket sales? Is it the merch? Is it the CD sales or the streaming after the fact? Like what actually makes them money when these groups come out on tour? Well, I might be wrong, but I think, wait, let's see. Got a couple of comments here, I think. Marketing. Okay. I think you were answering, Pamela, you were answering from the other thing that you're doing on the side. Let me know which one that is, which question you're answering, because it came a little late. But my question is, what do you think is making the most money for these different musicians and creatives that are traveling? And I would say, I'm pretty sure about this, it's merch. They're making the most money, not from the performance. The performance is their main bread and butter. It's what gets people in the door. Nobody's just going to show up to a store to start buying merch from a Taylor Swift or whatever. Like, they want the music. Don't get me wrong. But the main driver of income is not literally the thing that people are coming to see. The biggest driver of income is often the thing that is not the main thing. That was the example I wanted to give. So what's not on your main thing, that's not your main thing that you could actually be making more income from versus waiting for the next gig, the next thing? Let's see, Downbeat. The Downbeat says, I think it depends on how popular the band is. Probably not ticket sales, though. Yeah, I am not sure. I will have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it's merch. We may have to get some data on that. Let's see. Hopefully, I don't lose you guys. I know I'm on the Wi-Fi here, and I don't want to lose the Wi-Fi connection if I switch something, but I also don't want to keep too many tabs open. But I really want to check and see that. So if anybody wants to look that up, I would love to know. If you just type in I don't know, ask ChatGPT or something, where do most music tours make the most money from? What income stream? And I'm pretty sure it's merch. Why am I telling you this? It's because, again, we got to get out of our minds that our primary source of income is just performing, playing, doing the actual gig, the actual coaching, the actual teaching. I think this is a mind shift thing first. If you shift your mindset from, I need more gigs, I need to make money from gigs, more. Instead, thinking strategically, what is happening in my creative field that I could take advantage of because I have a skill that's adjacent to this other skill that people actually ask for more. I'm going through this very same thing right now with my website because you know what? Our website got audited You might have seen my email, the creative checkup, and it was not pretty. Our specific website, not the Pockets website, but the actual guideandgeeks.com just isn't currently doing what I hoped it would do. And it's because I haven't been intentional. By the way, if you'd like to go check it out, guideandgeeks.com, tell me what you think I should add or do. But yeah, once again, this is a place where I've got to be more specific and intentional about what is this website going to do and what is it going to help me do. You got to do the same thing with your music site, with your art site, with everything else. And then again, this really comes down to, how do I define what I offer to someone? And is it only my talent? Is it only my service providing? Or is it something that's adjacent to it? And so this is really just, again, opening up your mind to what might be missing in terms of you earning the income that you need to earn. What's missing? Timothy Kell, good to have you here on Instagram as well. Love the way Instagram is showing up today. It's really cool. Please like and share this, by the way, whatever platform you're using is, please like and share it. Because again, this helps us find more people like you who can join the conversation. All right. So I think we're in agreement. Number one, that you need multiple sources of income. Are we in agreement? Give me a 1 if you're in agreement. Yes, we need multiple sources of income. Okay. And also I'd say do a 1 if you agree that we need multiple sources of income, and trying to get gigs as the primary source of incomes is probably a losing game. Okay. Thank you, Pamela. So yeah, I think the older I get, and the guys forgive me, I think I'm going to see if I mess up this. Hope I won't mess up anything if I stand up, because I just feel like this chair is so wobbly and makes me crazy. But hopefully I can adjust the camera while I stand up. That's squeaky. So I'll set this a little higher so I'm not. See, you guys can still see me as I adjust everything literally on the fly. You said you're doing this live. It is literally live. Let me back up a little bit. It's just felt more comfortable to stand. So thank you guys for joining me. Okay, so there we go. That's a lot better. It just feels like sitting down. I was hunching over and messing up my back or whatever. So anyway, and I would love to know now. I didn't see. I saw Pamela commented. I didn't see anybody else comment on the skill, the adjacent skill that you could do that is not your primary gifting or your primary performance or your primary thing. Because like I said, what happened with my career was that the thing I do the most, while it could drive income, while doing gigs, more gigs would be tempting, I don't want to be the person chasing all the gigs all the time. I need to figure out personally, my own life, what do I offer that is close to my skills? Now, like I said, for some of us, it's, oh, I'm just going to teach. I'm not necessarily always talking about teaching. I'm talking about doing something that you really understand is going to match a need, a passion, and a problem. Okay? It's a need of someone, it's a passion of yours, and it's a problem. I love this. Actually, I want to say, which episode is it? It's LaShonda's episode. Someone can find LaShonda's episode. It's the second one she did. Will come back to me later. But LaShonda Brown did an episode where we talked about working less and living more. And she only works 20 hours a week. And in that episode, she talked about how her passion is actually music and helping people in her ministry, women in her ministry, to read the Bible and study the Bible. But her main income is being the bootstrap biz advisor who leverages tech and YouTube to help businesses to grow. And that's her main income source, but that's not her passion. And we got into like a really deep discussion about whether or not your passion has to be the thing that you make money with. And I think, again, us creatives and musicians and artists, we forget that just because you are really fun, something is really good at, like, that's maybe not the way that you should be funding your career. Maybe there's other sources of income you should be looking at. Let's see what the downbeat says here. Give me a second to reach down here. I've been asked to help create tracks and stems. Seems to be gaining popularity, but my schedule doesn't allow for it yet. Ooh, interesting. I've had that same fight, not with doing tracks and stems specifically, but the time it takes to pivot to doing something different. That is a big one. I thank you for like sharing that, because I think that is one of the hardest parts. One of the hardest parts is when you I can see the mic is kind of get out of focus. I might be throwing some of you guys off. Hope it's not like too crazy. Um so when you know that something is more popular and you think, hey, maybe I should be doing more of it, but you also have to take the time away, that's a struggle. I agree with that. That's definitely a struggle for some of us. Okay. So I know how to turn that off because that'll drive me crazy too looking at it. That's I hear you. I hear you right there. That's a definitely an issue that is tough to like to handle. Like, how do you find the time if you're gonna pivot? How do you pivot without, creating like more friction with the stuff that you already do? Let's see if I can. I think I know why this is happening. That should have helped. Okay, cool. Yeah, we just got rid of the blur because that was still it was confused. So let's talk a little bit more about the actual income streams. So my specific example, and by the way, if you guys can share how many income streams you have in your creative business, that would be great. If you have one, just one, and have two, three. So right now, if I count, thinking out loud, between music, coaching and podcast, full time. I'm literally looking down on my financial stuff right now because I'm working on taxes for next year, and some other stuff that I got to work on. I would say there's at least 3, maybe 4 different streams of income right now in my creative business. I might be missing one, but I think there's 4. Okay, so you have coaching and podcasting. I have my events, I have my gigs, and I have my my full time or my church staff employment. That's 4. There might be another one I'm missing, but that's 4 places where technically, again, except for the actual music performance, I'm not actually making the lion's share of my money from the actual gigs. And am I saying that you kind of have to have 2 jobs? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like without saying. Am I wrong? If you guys think I'm off for saying that, let me know. Is it basically that we have to have 2 jobs, 2 or 3 jobs in this economy to make it? Because it feels like that to me. But again, the creatives, we have options. We have different ways that we can do this that don't apply sometimes to even some of our friends who are in corporate situations or 9-to-5 situations. I think creatives, we are more attuned to what I heard somebody call the parallel careers. Good to see you, Ari Made New. Awesome, sister. Great to see you in here. Hope you can hang out a little longer because we'll be here for another few minutes. So my question to you is, have you created those other sources of income? Have you been strategic about those other sources of income? And if you have not built up other sources of income yet, what is next to you? What are those people, places, things, skills? Shane Sam says it like this. What do you know that nobody knows that you know? What could you be using in terms of, maybe it will be your knowledge? Maybe it could be a podcast. Maybe it could be something where you're doing something with your teaching, but you're not necessarily teaching the exact thing that you do. Because I think teaching, oftentimes we assume you just have to teach what you play. But maybe you can teach something else that's similar to what you play. So, good example, those of you who are actors and speakers, maybe instead of teaching acting, you could be teaching public speaking. And that's, again, something that is close, but not the same as the thing that is currently you're trying to make money doing, but just having struggles doing it. So that is my overall, I didn't have necessarily a point that I wanted to like say, okay, here are my 3 points. But I think by talking it out, by sharing our conversation, I see where Timothy was sharing and Downbeat was sharing and Pamela was sharing. I think by discussing it, you start to get a better feel for wait. I don't have to pick just one thing. I don't have to beg for gigs or beg for one client or be sad because one client left. I have a more variable variety. I have more flexibility in what I decide to do in my creative life in terms of earning income instead of just saying, I need more gigs, I need more gigs, I need more clients, I need more income. Because if we're strategic about this thing, if we're strategic, I think we find our sources of income to be more fulfilling, to be helping more people, to be less month to month, because you open your mind to things that you weren't thinking of before. This has been a good session, says Pamela, looking at more ways to generate income and think outside the box. Yes, I can tell you what actually helped me with this a lot, Pamela, was first of all, was the realization that God and Gigs led to my other full-time positions. And that as much as I would love to be just doing the one thing and making that one thing my total job and all of the income, it's just unrealistic to think that, again, that I could just like charge my way and charge more and do more of the same thing over and over again. That's not working to build enough income and then just say, I just need more gigs like that. Because it's already, as we established, 9 times out of 10, if we're doing the same thing and we're making the same amount of money doing the same thing, inflation is outpacing it. So we have to be more creative in terms of how do we see different markets. And it doesn't mean that your creative skill is not valuable. It just means you have to be realistic with what God is blessing you with. And the scripture that comes to mind is Ecclesiastes, I think it's 12, where it says, cast your bread upon the waters and it will return to you maybe 7, maybe 8 different ways. The picture is that you don't know which tide is coming in and which way that your income is coming in. So you got to stay open to it. You got to stay open to different ways that income can come to your life and make sure that you are actually thinking in terms of, hey, outside the box, like you said, Pamela. Thank you so much, you guys, for commenting and sharing and liking and posting. As I said, I'm now, standing up. So hopefully I can still be seen okay. I want to make sure to finish off once again by reminding you some housekeeping stuff, some things that I would love you to take advantage of. Again, let me just put this back up. Our 360 membership continues to grow. Pamela is a part of 360 Gold. You can see her name there along with a lot of other of our friends over there. Victory Lyric, our newest member, our newest creative, established creative expert. And if you would like to join them in God and Gigs Gold, then you just go to godandgigs.com/gold. You can join that and you can be connected with artists and creatives who are thinking like we're talking about. This is not normally what you hear from people in creative circles. They're going to tell you how to get 1 million streams on Spotify, how to instantly get viral on TikTok. You're not going to get the people who are going to help you kind of systematically and strategically think through your creative career and put the pieces in place. That's something that you're not going to get from most of these, if not all of these other memberships / gurus. Here, you're going to see how we built families and built businesses. In God and Gigs 360, you're going to see how we keep our faith strong while building up our businesses, while building up our authority, while using our creative gifts to bless God and to bless others. So this is a unique place. God and Gigs 360 Gold. We have a call coming up, I think, on Monday. Yes, we have a new call coming up on Monday. Also, something I want to announce that I haven't yet put on the calendar, but it's coming up very soon. And I want to make sure I get this in before we run out of time. We have not done the consistent creative challenge. We haven't done one in a long time. So I'm really thinking about, I wanted to do it next week, but I'm currently doing a show down here in South Florida, and it's taking all my time. Again, juggling all the things. So we are probably going to do a consistent creative challenge. Right now, I'm looking at maybe the 29th through August 3rd. Okay, so I don't have a link for that yet, but I would suggest you get here guidinggigs.com/info, and then I will announce it on the newsletter and everywhere else. Of course, social media, I'm not going to worry much about that because, we're not spending all of our time on social media. But I would suggest you go to guidinggigs.com/info, join our Creative Checkup newsletter, and then you'll find out when we're going to do the Consistent Creative Challenge. If you don't know what that is, it's 5 days where we focus on how to build consistent habits that will build your creative life to the highest success it's ever been. Again, not success just monetarily, but success in your spirit, in your emotions, in your relationships, everything where that consistent creative habit becomes a manner of your life, a way that you live your life. That's what we're thinking of doing. I think, again, right now, I'm not going to do next week because we're kind of like knee deep into working on this new event that we have down here, but not new event, our every year event called Sit, Sing, Swing. So I'm going to be working on that really hard. But I do think that it is safe to say we're going to do it before the end of July. We will start the Consistent Creative Challenge again. It's 5 days, no link yet. But whenever we jump into that, you're going to find out. So go to guidinggigs.com/info. That way you can be ready and notified. Email always gets it first. Email always gets the information first. So you want to be first and you want to be quick to get it. And you don't have to go looking for social media posts and like, oh my God, the algorithm moved it. If you don't need to be thinking like that, you want to make sure you get it, then join guidinggigs.com/info. Join our Creative Checkup newsletter. We do a vital signs, we do lab work, and we do consult. And we do, the last one is, what was prescriptions. So each week we do, in our Wednesday newsletter, we give you vital signs. We help you check your faith in your heart and your spiritual life. Lab work, we talk about, hey, these are the actual things we're doing to help make money as creators, as faith-focused freelancers, artists, and musicians. This is what we're actually doing. This was actually working for me. This last one, I talked about the website where I got the website audit and it tore me up and I had no idea, like, oh my gosh, my website is horrible. How can we fix it? And we talked about that in the newsletter. Then after that, we talked about the consult, which is where we get to converse back to back, kind of like we're doing here. So by the way, if any of you are already members of the newsletter, would you let me know? I would love to know who's already getting the newsletter. And then those of you who haven't, go to guidinggigs.com/info. This is the fastest way for you to find out what's happening in Guiding Gigs. I can tell you directly, Facebook is, just a bear. It's not where we want to hang out. We want to hang out in email. We want to hang out in our membership. Okay. So, Pamela, yes, she says the thumbs up. Yes, she gets those Guiding Gigs Creative Checkup newsletter. So join her. Go check it out. Okay. All right. We've got about 7 minutes left. We'll see if there's any questions. Let me see also if I have something on the podcast that's coming up. I don't think I do. We have this from we have Shivs. Oh, yeah. And we do have this, which I love to show just to people who have been saying nice things about Guiding Gigs 360 Gold. I think Pamela's right there. We also have Rita, who has some nice things to say about 360 Gold. So if you want some proof, social proof, there's your proof. People who are also in Guiding Gigs 360 Gold and or the guest program and seeing how much they like it. So I think it's finally approved on iOS, on Apple. So if you go there, I think before you couldn't buy it on Apple, which was really annoying because I've had like an account for like so long. Apple never approved it, but finally they've approved it. So even if you're on Apple, I think you can buy it right in the app. So remember, for that, you want to go for the $10 program. You want to go to guidedgigs.com/inspired. If you want to join our mastermind, you go to guidedgigs.com/gold. Okay, so inspired is the $10 templates, everything. Gold is where you get the coaching. And like I said, we have a call coming up on Monday. All right. If there are any questions, I hope we have really helped you today to understand how to make money when the gigs are not coming, how to rethink your strategy, how to rethink, not just saying, I need more gigs, I got to get more work, and then working yourself to death. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being strategic, thinking about your parallel, if I can talk correctly, your parallel careers. What can you do to make sure that what you're doing there is going to impact what you do in your primary? Oh, and last little point I'll make. Remember that this does not mean that we're saying that your primary gifting, your music, your art is not worth the amount that you would love to make for that specific gift. We're not saying that. I've said many times that your gifting is priceless, but nobody can pay for what's priceless anyway. So what we're doing is providing value through other things that we have the capacity to create. We're never just saying, oh, well, somebody should pay me because we're just cheapening the thing that we actually do. And we're saying that it's not worth anything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm only saying that in the reality of things, many times the thing that is the breadwinner for your business or your creative life is not the thing that you do most often. For some reason, it just works out that way. The adjacent things are the things that usually end up being the riches. Like the riches are in the niches. That's what Pat Flynn usually says. But the riches are also in the niches of your creative life, where it's not necessarily the big thing you do, but it's this little small thing that you think of. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. And it doesn't take away from your creative gift, and it doesn't cheapen it. And it doesn't mean that you can't do that thing. Okay. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a great call. Glad I was able to get up, stretch my legs a little bit. If you, once again, would like to join us, guidedgigs.com/gold, guidedgigs.com/inspired is where you can find all of our templates, and it's only $10 a month. We'd love to see you there. And finally, if you're interested in the newsletter, you can go to guidedgigs.com/info and join our Creative Checkup newsletter. Each week, I send out something on Wednesday. It's pretty simple setup. Podcast on Monday, Creative Checkup newsletter on Wednesday, this live Creative Checkup on Friday. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're always going to hear from us. And I'm going to share something that I pray will help you become a better creative from the inside out. Like my shirt here says, from my friend Crystal Pearson, Miss Chris Creations. Shout out to her. I should probably go order some new shirts because I've had this one for a while. I'm probably ready to get a new Guided Gig shirt. Okay, I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you. And we will see you next Friday for another creative checkup. Okay, God bless. And we'll see you next time.